Welcome back, everyone, to episode 14 of Light in the Lamp. I'm your host, Dola, and with me, as always, is JG. How you doing, pal?
Good, man. Pretty good. A lot of playoff hockey. A lot of exciting shit going on here, Obviously, Big Papi Ginta's horse won on Friday night, which was a elating moment for the Ginta family. Just incredible. What a finish at Monmouth Park by Isaac Castillo, Joey Pantaleo, the trainer, and, of course, the big man, Zit Man, with the first place finish, the old back class in the 8 furlong race. So, Eddie Olchuk, you're not the only one who loves horses. We're out here. We are out here. Make sure next time you're out here betting horses, Eddie, you bet the Zit Man because he's a-coming. Ginta Racing Stables, we're going to be around for a little bit here. So, part of the racing game now. Big-time shit. Very excited. Lots more gambling to do. Obviously took a little something for Monday night. We liked Boston and Colorado to make them 6-game series. Think we're just maybe praying for a little more hockey than anything. Be kind of shitty for this to end so quick. It's been some great games. So how was your weekend on the Gold Coast? Enough talking about me and gloating about the horse winning. Sorry for tooting my own horn there, fans. But
I don't know how you talk about it more. I mean, really, the family goes in on a horse, puts it in a race, first time showing, comes out with number one, collects the purse, and wins the family on some bets, some money. Like, you can't ask for anything more than that. Just what a day. What an absolute
between me, my grandpa, my father, there's many, many years at Monmouth Racetrack, a lot of money gambled on ponies and just something that's been a part of my life for forever. I mean, I've been doing it since I'm a kid. I used to go with the yellow paper to the window and put my grandpa's bets in. You can never get away with that now. You go to jail. But, 8 years old with a little tip for the lady at the window and my little piece of yellow paper from his pad, I'd go over there, put a couple exactas in, a couple of straight bets, and go sit and watch the races. I'd get $2 for a win bet. I'd pick the long shot. And, here we are today. We got our own horse and a big W on Friday night, man. What a moment for me and the family. So, again, enough gloating about me. How was your weekend on the Gold Coast, pal?
A little quieter out here. Just always going over to the beach, taking it easy. Took the wife out for a night. Just went out to some dinner. Just had a nice restaurant.
Oh, a little sauce toss the other day, huh?
Oh yeah, had to set up on the beach. Get the sticks out there, sauce toss it up, and had the other people look in just because it's so funny. Everyone's got smash ball, they got volleyballs, they got, just
everything. All these games that come for the beach, but nobody's got a hockey stick in it.
No one's got hockey sticks. No one's got sauce toss. No one's dragging it over their back. No one's bringing the boards. It's kind of a lot to bring, but you know what?
But it's so much. I mean, listen, for guys like us, I could sit with the stick in my hand for hours. Think about all the minutes you spent before and after practice just chucking sauce. I mean, endless. I mean, after all the time added up, endless hours of junior hockey practices of just legitimately chilling out there with the boys, chucking forehand sauce, backhand sauce, one-timers, fucking off sauce, just like practicing sauce passes for fun. It's like you don't realize how much fun it is to do that and how effective it ends up being in the game. So, I mean, what a little game to bring to the beach, especially for guys that grew up playing hockey. They got everything for everybody. It's about time they got a little something for the hockey boys.
Again, it's just part of that hockey culture growing, right? Just like part of the momentum of, having, gong show, violent gentlemen, having sauce toss as a game out there, just the sport growing in general. And just hopefully we're going to be, captains of that, shipping, providing more content and more growth to this industry and to this sport because it's something we love and something we love talking about. And that's why we're here on Light in the Lamp, and we always appreciate all of you listeners tuning in and appreciate you joining me, JG. But like every lamp episode, we want to light the lamp, light up the torch, and we also have to drink one out to our boys that take the battle every night, that go to work, get on the ice and watch hockey and make hockey so enjoyable and, put their lives on the line really for us, man, So put another one back, another diesel, what I like to do. And obviously always chugging it out.
A little boss boot action for the kid. We don't call him Beer Dola for nothing, but a lot of good hockey on. Hope everybody's tuned in. Boston's got to tie this game here. They got about 9 shots since they've been scored on. Mr. Beer Dola here is going to put another double boy in the books. So let's enjoy that. Hopefully he doesn't choke. Love you to death, but
Really building up the confidence on that end, JG.
I mean, we haven't had very many jabs at each other, so I'm going to root against you here. I don't think you'll fail because you're a pretty big beer drinker, but just for the fun of the fans, I'm going to say Timmy maybe chokes here.
Spills all over himself,
And then he wears it, and then not to mention Budweiser, he shoves it right in your ass, sandpaper finish with the White Claw hat because you guys haven't given us even a little love, not even a comment or a like yet. I mean,
not even a comment or a like. That's hard.
Not asking for much here. I mean, we're not even worried about the goal horn at this point. Just show us a little bit of love, just a tiny bit. That's it.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's light this goal horn.
Let's go here.
Let's put the beer in the book.
I'm gonna keep drinking Twisted Tea. Screw you, Budweiser, until you give us a like or a share. We love you. Here goes another diesel. Thinking about it now, oh, bubble at the right time. He might get me here. I'm fucked. Well, yep. He shoved it up my ass. No lube. Sandpaper finish. That was a big fuck you to the JG man there. Well, sorry, fans. I bet against the big man, and he showed me why I'm wrong time and time again.
Yeah, I don't know how you bet against me, dude. Like, I've shown you since you were like 12 years old, like what I can do, and now you're betting against me.
Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Have drank.
I've got a little spot here, little guy.
Drank a couple thousand beers with you, for sure. Probably 60 to 90 a weekend minimum.
We don't like to talk about the show. Actually, I love talking about
it.
It's one of the greatest days ever. But let's get into it. Boot in the books, as I am now saying, as is tradition now. Dola is just putting down an entire boot. So tell me how many YouTube channels or podcasts are doing now where someone has to.
Especially when filming double. Some of these days here we're filming double episodes, fans. So Mr. Amendola is burying 2 tall boys within about an hour span while drinking beers in between on the episode. So to say my man is getting in one on some early times here, because I don't know what time. It's about 8:30 here in New Jersey, and that means it's 5:30 there. So by dinner time, 4 beers, 4 White Claws. The wife's not going to be happy with the speech impediments going on at dinner, I'm sure. There's going to be some slurring, and Jenny's definitely not going to be happy. You're going to be walking the dog, doing the dishes. You're going to get all the shitty work coming up here, so get ready for it, pal.
It's going to be great. So, boot in the books. Let's get into some hockey. The fans
bringing it back old school here with the Flyers 1992 All-Star game. I mean, such a slap in the face as a Ranger fan, but legendary hat, my grandpa's hat, starter nonetheless. Early 90s starter, just bringing it back for the fans here. So a little old school apparel. But let's get it going
with White Claw, to be honest.
Yeah, really shoving it to Budweiser. We're going to get a like or a comment if you keep wearing those hats.
All right, so let's get into it. What we're excited about, fans, and what's kind of interesting about the round 2 series right now is as we get into it, the series are all at 3-1. There is one team about to put the finish into each team. Really starting out with Tampa Bay and Boston as it's the first game on tonight. But very exciting time. Some series might end, some series might continue, but just wanted to give you fans a little recap and an update and just kind of talk about what's happened so far. So first series we're actually going to get into right now is New York Islanders versus the Philadelphia Flyers. So JG, like what the fuck? The Islanders 3-1. Didn't see this coming. I honestly had the Flyers pegged.
Definitely a botched series as far as us. I mean, I picked the Flyers. No, I picked the Islanders. Holy shit. Wow. Okay, well, so I'm doing good here. I thought that I picked the Flyers. I have been riding the coattail of of a large New York Ranger rival. I will admit it, Ranger fans. I am the culprit, but I do remember picking the Isles here. I just, for some reason, I think they're a monster. I didn't think they were a possibility of beating this team in 5. I really, in the back of my head, there was a chance for the Flyers to win this series for sure, and I could have been dead wrong. But, I mean, they're just showing you night in and night out that Barry Trotz and Lou Lamoriello are, one, a deadly combination, and 2, the guys they put together are buying in, and they want it, and they all want it together. They love to play with each other. The other night, Matt Martin jumped over the boards. I just happened to turn the game on, and Barzal feeds him with a pass in the slot for a huge goal. Islanders score. Martin scores from a fourth liner from a first liner. And, I mean, they looked like that they played on the line together for 2 years when they celebrated. Martin was thanking Barzal for the assist and just a big celebration. And it just shows you, from the first line to the fourth line, nobody thinks anybody's better than each other. They bought into Barry Trotz's system, and I hate to say hate because it's not, politically correct, but I dislike this Islanders team to another level. I always have my entire life as a Rangers fan, so it hurts to say, but I mean, scary potential for this team. I mean, the way they play defense, they could lock down either team from the other series, whether Boston – yes! Boston tied it up, baby. Sorry. But, I mean, this team has got scary potential here. I mean, the way they play defense, they could beat anybody that's left. I mean, Vegas kind of looks scary to me on the other side. We'll get into that. But, I mean, the Islanders look, to me right now, between them and Tampa Bay, it's a pretty even match. Obviously, Tampa Bay is way heavier on paper, but I think the Islanders have every shot to beat a Tampa Bay or a Boston. I mean, their defensive game is strangling. It's showing you that. And they're scoring goals night in and night out. Just a big one from Pasta here. But, I think this Islanders team is just proving us to be wrong. I mean, they're a lot stronger than we thought.
I think they're the Carolina Hurricanes from last year, right? Like, I don't think there's a single person in anywhere that would have actually said, oh, the Carolina Hurricanes, we have them going to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Like, did anyone actually say that?
Not that I know of them. I mean, there's always the odd fan or somebody out there that'll say it. But
if you were part of Canes Nation, I agree with you. But, like, if you were outside that, I doubt it. Right?
I mean, but again, like, this Islanders team is just night in and night out. Pajot, Beauvillier, Brock Nelson, Anders Lee, Josh Bailey's a +10. A +10. I mean, come on, man. He's older now. He's been around forever. He continues to flourish in the Islanders uniform. I mean, Adam Pelech, awesome defenseman that nobody really talked about or knew about.
He's honestly my favorite defenseman coming out of this playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible.
And then you got Barzal, I mean, who stepped it up huge coming into this round. He's playing great hockey. He's contributing all over the ice. And then you got the Philly side, which we talked about. I mean, Hazy's still playing good. Our boy, Kevin Hayes, we love him to death, ex-Ranger, just an absolute beauty. Content beast, a great listen on Spittin' Chicklets when he's on there, which is pretty often. And I mean, just an unbelievable.
Nicknames for everybody, dude. They're so funny. He's calling people.
He's hysterical. He's a typical hockey guy. He's like one of the boys. Like, he's like FTB for the boys. Like, what a beauty. He's just that guy. You know what I mean? He's a jokester. He's always part of the pranks and everything in the locker room when you hear his stories. And always part of the partying and all of it. He's an all-around team guy. I just, he's one of the only ones performing for me. Connect me quiet. Giroux absolutely lost. Alain Vigneault came out and made comments about his star just the other day. And, wow, like, could you believe that your head coach he came out there and he called you out on a massive media platform? I mean, there's no doubt about it. And you know what? I like it. I think if Giroux doesn't come out and respond, then that shows you who Giroux really is. I think Alain Vigneault is challenging him to come out and be a star tomorrow night.
Listen, I mean, guess what? You don't want anything bad for the guy because Claude Giroux has proven in time and again that he's an absolutely stellar hockey player. And let's not take anything away from this guy. Just
couple gold medals, no Stanley Cups, but
he's a big reason why they're in the Stanley Cup playoffs and that run up.
But wait! I saw a stat today. Yeah, he is because he built the program with them and all that. But his last 26 games before the cutoff, he had 1 goal and 7 assists in 26 games, and he was like a -7. I mean, that is not contributing to anything. That's more like send me down to the AHL on a monster contract like an Andrew Ladd, like $7 million at the Islanders, and he doesn't even play. Like, like that's what that is to me. I mean, that's horrendous. And now all your points that you have a couple. You have like 6 or 7. They were all last series. I mean, now you're in a series where it means something. You're headed for an Eastern Conference final, and you're really just not showing up. Bottom line. And Konechny, too, a guy who is a Matthew Tkachuk style, not nearly as good at what he does as Matthew Tkachuk, but a big piece of the Philadelphia Flyers and a major piece.
Listen,
he needs to play that type of way if they're going to win, and he's not doing it right now.
It's not even that. Like, I mean, I think it's all over the ice. Like, another player that I heard of.
Carter Hart's keeping him in there. I mean, bottom line.
Dude, it was Scott Lawton. It was James Van Riemsdyk.
Quiet. James Van Riemsdyk he's been a healthy scratch. Obviously, I know him. I played with his brother. I've known them for a long time, but disappointing to see from a career consistent player. I mean, consistent year,
very good, always great at playoffs, all over the ice.
Plays 200 foot. He'll mix it up occasionally. For a big guy, not the most physical, but a skilled guy. Has scored some incredible goals throughout the years. ESPN top 10. I mean, was on a great USA Hockey and World Junior team. I mean, I think he played twice. Went to UNH where I got to watch him play a couple years. Has been a career consistent player at every level. Was never a shining 190-point star, but always every year in and year out, you knew what you were getting from James. And every year he got better. And, I mean, I'm hoping it's not the downwind of his career now, or maybe he's just having an off season here and he's got to regroup and come back next season and train differently and do something a little different. And maybe he'll be back to himself. And I really hope that for him, because right now you're not seeing anything from him at all.
Look, again, let's not just get down on James, right?
No, absolutely not. It's all over the ice. It's a full team. It's a full team. There's just so much not working for them. That's just a point. Like, you made the point to me the other night. Where's he been? He got scratched. And, obviously Lawton could be scratched. All these guys
I think you and I look for him just because, like, we have the tie to the Rockets, and, we saw him on the ice. We get, when you're per, Pee-wees, you split the ice. And on one side of the ice, you have Van Riemsdyk and you have John Carlson, and then you have us on the other side of the ice. We're mixing up. At all the Turcotte camps, those guys are just absolutely tearing it up. All the Danny O'Brien camps, they're tearing it up, and you just watch these guys play. And, you always have that affinity for watching these hockey players once they're actually touching the ice in the NHL. And we want to see them play well. And, James for years has just been an absolute –
a decade, man. He got over a decade. He got drafted in 2007. Obviously had a little discrepancy early with the Flyers. Was supposed to come play. Decided they were a little mad because he was a second overall. Decided to stay at UNH. Played 2 seasons there. Played through his sophomore, and then went to the Flyers. But from then on, he really was a model of consistency from 2007 to 2019. 12 straight seasons of the same thing every year. And some years better than others, like every player, but a minimum of 20 goals and 45, 50 points. Usually more like 25, 50, 25, 55. A great player. Not, you're hoping to snag an absolute superstar at that stage in the game. But if you were looking for a guy that could have, he obviously went to Toronto a few years. He could have been a career Flyer. You bring him back because you know what you're bringing back. You're comfortable with his consistency. He's a great guy, a great
team. Come on, the city wanted him back. They loved him.
Oh, of course. They didn't want to get rid of him. I think they missed him when they lost him.
JVR, dude, he lived right along almost like the Schuylkill River, right? Like right along the border, right between Cherry Hill and, Philly and stuff.
Well, he's a Middletown guy, so he lives like by the Navasink River. He's about an hour from New York City, an hour from Philly, like right in the middle. So,
So, like, the boys could still come see him play. Like, he's still going to games. Like, it's still a perfect setup for him, right? So, honestly,
very similar. Like, Gaudreau is probably more of a Flyer fan from where he grew up.
But, like, if you go to the Devils, you're still within an hour of the boys, an hour, 10 minutes. Like, everybody could come see you play. You can take the boys out. You could go out in the city. You could come home and go to Philly. You kind of get to live that, home life while still playing in the NHL. So, I mean, there's good fits for everybody, and I think James just fit in Philadelphia. Something's going wrong for him here. I don't know if he's injured and trying to play through it, but just not working out for him. And like you said, a lot of other guys, Travis Konechny, Claude Giroux, I mean, is a way bigger deal to me than James Van Riemsdyk. Claude Giroux's your guy. That's a way, way bigger problem than a secondary scoring piece not playing well. I mean, to me, Giroux should have McKinnon-like stats right now. If this team wants to win a Stanley Cup, Giroux needs to have 13, 14 points, +6, +7, and driving a power play. At minimum, you're a superstar.
Dude, Claude Giroux used to have the most points in the NHL. Like, he is probably
for years, 4 or 5 years straight. He was in the top
one of the
3,
biggest
top 4
of the NHL.
100 and change every year.
Him not scoring goals is almost an anomaly. And honestly, I think a big anomaly of what you see and why this series is tipped in the Islanders' favor, because you see all these players. I mean, you see Hayes stepping up. You see Provorov stepping up. You see some guys stepping up, Sanheim stepping up. But I don't see the regular names putting the pucks in the net everywhere that they should be. And, I don't know if that's just a credit to the Islanders of just being that much of a shutdown team, and Barry Trotz just knowing them, just working with the Washington Capitals and just knowing all those players. But you got to say, like, tip the cap to the Islanders for controlling this series. I was absolutely off in calling the Flyers in 7. I mean, at this point, all I can hope.
I mean, at this point, I'm off calling the Islanders in 7. I should be embarrassed. I mean, they literally, like we said earlier, I mean, this could be over this series. That game that they lost, they could have very easily won. I thought Carter Hart stood on his head and really kind of stole them a game there, and they got a nice bounce in overtime, and they win a hockey game. But I think the Islanders could have easily been done with this series already in that game there. So, I mean, pretty impressive to see what they've been doing, and kind of hoping the Flyers win tomorrow night. Would love it to go 7, and obviously my predictions stay intact. But, I just want to see some hockey, and it seems like we're getting pile-drived here. Boston-Tampa 1-1. I mean, potential for this series to end right now. And then Vegas looks like no matter what they do wrong, they can't lose. They're getting every bounce. They're just goaltending-wise, they're above and beyond everybody in the league. Robin Leonard on a 3rd team in 3 years, showing you year in and year out, like, why the fuck does somebody not sign him and keep him? It makes no sense. I'm lost. Why did Chicago not offer him 5 years, $5 million, something? He would have signed. What does nobody want to sign him for?
I think they were too hopeful on Crawford. I think they were behind their guy that already gave them the hard part.
I'm just in, like, it makes, even the Islanders, they got rid of him and it worked out for them. So, Salute and Varlamov is proven to be just as good as Leonard for you. But how does nobody see what he brings to the table? The other night, the Vancouver Canucks were out shooting them 15-5, and Vegas was up 2-0. And, I mean, of those 15 shots, there was probably 7 between grade A and grade B scoring chances inside the house. So, I mean, like, Robin Leonard's doing it for you, obviously, because you win a game. You end up outplaying Vancouver in the 3rd. But, I mean, the 1st and 2nd, Vancouver could have easily been up 4-0, and they're down.
That shuts up Marc-Andre's agent, right? When Leonard just goes the fuck off and puts up a shutout.
But
and
before we get into
sit on his laurels and be like, yeah.
We're headed way deep into the West Coast. We still need to get into Tampa Bay, Boston. So, I mean, I think we really got everything in the Philly Islanders series. We kind of went a little crazy on that one, but we drifted off a couple places. But headed into Tampa Bay, Boston, obviously watching a hell of a hockey game right now. You got a 4-on-4 going on, 2 minutes left in the second, 1-1. Pasta just tied her up a couple minutes back on a beautiful 1-T from Krejci. This series has been all Tampa. Another series where could have easily been done in 4. The game Boston won, Tampa could have won. Definitely thought they were in the game, could have won the game. I mean, but, tonight I think Boston is just too good to go down in 5. That was why I took Boston in the bet. Seems like you agreed with me a little. They're playing great right now. They're getting a lot of offensive chances here. But, I mean, throughout the series,
You talked about a lot of stuff. I'm not going to get into your favorite line. I'm going to let you do that because you got a lot to say about a certain line here on Tampa. But Tampa's been great. Kucherov looks great. I mean, and let's talk about the fact that if they make it to the final or into the middle of next round, you got a straight up, like, all-time almost trade acquisition that's going to come back to your team in Stamkos, who is, when he's healthy, one of the top 10 players in the league year in and year out.
Is that true? Is Stamkos coming back for next year?
They don't know if he's 100. They're saying if they make it into the Eastern Conference Final, he's got potential to make it back between then and the final. I mean, imagine injecting that even onto your fourth or third line, you know, and even if he's not a scoring forward, he's just producing that speed.
Dude, listen, there's two players that are almost anomalies when they come back from injury, which is,
and he's one of them.
Steven Stamkos and Sidney Crosby. And both of them, like, come back and will have 2 or 3 points on their first night and then continue to put up 2 points, like almost a game, for their first 10 games. And
I'm just saying, even at worst, if you have to put them on your third or fourth, just to inject that speed and that leadership, and you don't even need him to score. That you're proving that right now. I mean, look at Braden Point, Kucherov, Palat. Andre Palat has been there for how many years? He's always been good, and he was great on that Johnson, Palat, and what was it, Kucherov, that line for years before Kucherov really broke out. They had that small line of Andre Palat, Kucherov, and Tyler Johnson, and I mean, they have the scoring everywhere.
Tyler Johnson's a third line player is
Tyler Johnson. And never mind that Anthony Cirelli is a third, fourth line guy. He had 44 points. He's a Selke Trophy candidate, a guy the Rangers are obviously going after. I mean, they're just on paper, the depth that Tampa Bay carries is bar none. Maybe Vegas can rival them in depth. Maybe. And I'd be surprised if I didn't see the two of them in the Stanley Cup final after what I've seen so far. That's just my opinion. Obviously, I took the Bruins in 7 here. If they don't win tonight, I'm going to eat shit on that one. But you have Tampa in 6. So, I mean, obviously, if Boston wins, you're still in good shape anyway. But I just think, Boston is they're reeling, man. They don't look great. They're chasing. They're getting outworked. Chased at every puck. They're losing puck battles. So just not the Boston Bruins you're used to seeing. Not impressed. What do you got for me on this Tampa Bay Lightning team that's been so impressive?
I mean, again, it kind of goes back to what we talked about in a lot of other series in terms of that. One thing I love about the NHL is the third line coming back, dude. Like, I got to say, the third, fourth line and the importance of the third, fourth line is, like, cannot be understated. And in playoffs, it shows more than anything because you don't really notice it during the regular season because a lot of times, a first line can bring it home. Maybe, you go into overtime and maybe you keep it in overtime and then you go into a shootout where your top 3 studs, like McDavid, Draisaitl, can just go put it home, right? But in playoffs, it's always so interesting where the third and fourth line really become just so integral to this team. I mean, Calgary, Lucic, Bennett, and Dubé were probably one of the best third lines I've ever seen put on ice. They were literally carrying the Flames, I think, through those series. To be honest, I think they played better than some of their first lines. I mean, you're the Calgary guy. I think you might butt heads with me on that, but I really was very impressed by that line. It was probably my favorite.
I love that line. I thought the line was great.
But for me on Tampa Bay, what really jacks me up about the squad and why I think they have a chance is that third line. And that third line is Yanni Gourde, Barclay Goodrow, and Blake Coleman. I mean, I got to say it was, it wasn't actually like, Gourde or Goodrow who gave Coleman that pass. I mean, Jake Goshen gave a little shake and bake, right? Gave a little shoulder shake out around the defenseman, sent a pass over to Coleman. Coleman dove out, tipped it with his stick in between.
But Goshen, what a play, man.
I mean, but I got to say, Yanni Gourde, had 2 goals in one game. One of them came
He's
off
been great for a couple of years now, quietly. Under talked about for sure.
dude, one of the goals that came off, I mean, it was kind of like the ref
He can
interfered, but then
snip.
he
You ever
popped
see him
up.
put one top corner?
Dude, he snipped top corner. He went across the net, had super patience, watched the goaltender, waited, found his moment, sailed the thing top corner. And I got to say, Johnny Gore, Goodrow, and Coleman have been
Sorry,
just an
guys.
absolute force for the Tampa Bay Lightning in this series. And it has been, for me, I think the difference maker where you have Tampa Bay with
No,
line 1, line 2, and line 3, where you have the
Bella.
perfection line of Marchand, Bergeron, and
Hey,
Pasta, and that's it, right? And you have that perfection line, and they're incredible. But I gotta say that third line is really a difference maker for me. You know,
oh man, I mean, it's incredible. You went out and you got rid of a first round draft pick to grab Blake Coleman to put on your third line. So I mean, that's got to tell you something right there. Like if you're the Lightning and you can feel how close you are if you're willing to give up a first round pick to get that third line piece to close out your bottom six. I mean, just an incredible. If you look on paper, it's scary. And they get the goals from everywhere. Yanni Gourde puts up points. Anthony Cirelli puts up points. Blake Coleman puts up points. Barclay Goodrow is a great piece in San Jose for a couple of years. They loved him over there. He went into the playoffs, had some great years with them. And, I mean, just the depth of their team is absurd. I mean, from 1 through 12, you got to have 6 or 7 20 to 40 goal scorers.
bro, we're not talking about. We haven't even touched Vasilevsky. We haven't even touched Hedman.
Yeah,
we haven't even
Hedman,
touched Tyler Johnson.
Sergachev.
We haven't even touched. I mean, we touched Kucherov a little bit.
Shattenkirk, McDonough. I mean,
like it's to the point where I'm looking at this line, and then you look at the rest of the team, and it's just like Jesus. Like, I mean, when you always call a team a world beater. I mean, I again think Tampa versus the Knights.
they're a world beater on paper, but they haven't proven that. They haven't proven that to you year in and year out. They find a way to shit, no matter where it is, how deep it is. But I mean, listen, this year we said it from the beginning. It's anyone's playoff. Obviously, they were one of the heavyweights going in. I mean, you knew that. You were probably Tampa Bay, Boston, and maybe Philly in there. On the East Coast, and then the West Coast, the heavyweights are left. I mean, you're getting your Eastern Conference final.
Just almost, as you thought. Yeah.
Nah, not really, because if Dallas pulls this out, which we're going to get into right now.
That's Western, but like other than the Islanders moving forward, Islanders are the biggest anomaly. Everything else.
Oh, yeah, we kind of figured these 3 teams would be left in the East, but I mean, we kind of covered everything Tampa Bay-wise. I mean, like, we were just pushing into the West. Let's go to Colorado, Dallas, like a series where you and me are getting spanked around. I called Colorado in 7, and right now Dallas is up 3-1. That game comes up next. Yep, next. So
I called Colorado in 6. My bet is already blown. I'm already.
Yeah, I mean, I had Colorado in 7, and if their goaltending can turn it on, it's very possible. I mean, let's be honest. If they get hot, they could very well win 3 games. That is just not something. It happens fairly often. I mean, we don't see it all the time, but every year there's a team
Philly
that comes
did
back.
It against Boston. Chicago
every
did
year,
it.
Almost every season there's a team that comes back from that 3-1 or that 3-0. The Rangers did it a few times. They did it against Pittsburgh the year they went to the Cup. They were down 3-1. They won the series in 7. It happens. So Colorado is definitely a team left that could do it. I don't think out of the other 3 teams that are left, there's going to be a team that could come back to win the series. That's just my opinion. If anybody else other than Colorado, my wild card would be Vancouver. But on the East, I kind of think that the series are both all but done. Whether Boston wins tonight or not, I kind of just think Tampa Bay is reeling. And as we spoke just about Yanni Gourde, they're showing a play of him absolutely ripping one off the tendy's mask because he's a stud. But
I think I don't know. Oscar Lindbaum might be coming back for Philly, so maybe he.
Let's see. I mean, listen, maybe he sparks it, but let's stay on the Colorado-Dallas track. I mean, for me, Khudobin has been the absolute story of the series. I mean, yeah, there's been some scoring and whatever, but
he's shining in moments he needs to shine in. So even if it's a 5-4 game and he let in some goals, he's making the saves he needs to make late in the game, and he's keeping, the Colorado Avalanche out of it when they're on their runs back after being down a couple of goals. They seem to always want to come back late, and he's holding them off night in and night out. And I mean, I think he's the difference, and the physicality of Dallas. I mean, they play as heavy to me as a Vegas. I mean, they come out and they're big, they're strong. Like Jamie Benn is one of their top guys. He'll punch you in your mouth. He'll put you through the glass. He'll snipe. He'll dangle. He'll make a beautiful pass. He can head a power play. So Dallas, I think, was underlooked at by a lot of people. I think we all kind of wrote them off and didn't really look too deep into them, and we forgot how they very well could have went to the Cup last year.
It's a team that's been getting it done by committee. I mean, just flat out.
Maxa, you got who's the other
Miro
kid?
Heiskanen, you have
who's the forward? He's got. Oh my God, it's gonna drive me crazy if I don't figure out who it is. I gotta look now. Sorry, fans. This is such a debauchery because
Denis Gurianov is definitely probably one of the biggest, absolute kind of out of nowhere. I didn't ever hear about this guy, but out of nowhere
he came from Florida. He was actually pretty good in Florida. He showed glimpses, but did they draft him? They might have drafted him. He either came from Florida or he got drafted. I'm not sure, but
if you look at Denis Gurianov, you look at Pavelski, you look at Jamie Benn, Corey Perry, you have a lot of guys. Miro Heiskanen, again, is probably one of the biggest standouts of this entire playoffs.
Oh, here he is, my guy. Rupe Hintz, still on a rookie contract. I mean, season, he had 19 goals, 14 assists, 33 points, +3 in 60 games. On a rookie contract, 49th overall draft pick in 2015. So, I mean, nice little snag, potential top 6 guy with 50 to 60 point potential. And he's playing great. I mean, I've been noticing him.
You have Radulov. Radulov, the big irritator.
Radulov is an absolute superstar. What a signing for them.
So, I mean, again, what we talked about, and when you were kind of hot on Calgary, you're like, oh, Calgary's going to smoke them. They're going to smoke them. And so,
I loved Calgary, man. Listen, if Matthew Tkachuk didn't go out of that series, my prediction very well may have stayed on track.
Maybe. We don't know. We'll never know. But what I can still say is what I said stands in terms of this team is here because they are a win now team. They've been put together with a lot of veterans and a lot of people that they need to win now. They need to pull it together. And what you see is them actually doing it. They were close last year, and it's just one of those teams that were putting together those final pieces to win the Stanley Cup. And honestly, I didn't expect this just because of how much firepower was on so many other teams. But I got to say, congrats to the Dallas Stars. You are just turning heads and just not rolling over. And I got to say, from so many games that they've had to go into, score 6, score 7, they've had to be a high firepowered offense. And I mean, obviously the defense needs to pick it up a little bit, but I mean, the defense is as much part of the offense on that team as anything else. But it's been surprising.
I mean, their D is just Dallas is D, and that's another thing overlooked. Just Studley. I mean, Klingberg, Heiskanen. It's just
Miro Heiskanen.
I mean, you got Miro Heiskanen, Steven Johns, big boy, was on Chicago for a little bit. Esa Lindell, awesome D-man, 94 birth year. Jamie Alexiak, pretty much career Dallas guy, went over to Pittsburgh for a year, sent him back to Dallas, and he's been their big, almost like a Dan Girardi for the Rangers, blocking shots, fighting, scoring big goals randomly out of nowhere. So, they got Roman Polak, Andrei Sekera. They're pretty deep and heavy on D, and they're heavy on offense. Radulov is a monster. Ben is a monster. I mean, all these guys go out there and they bang around. Martin Hansel, I don't think is playing. You got Dickinson is out there banging around. You got Blake Como, a veteran, been around the league for a while, out there fucking banging around. Andrew Cogliano does it all. Wins face-offs, penalty kills.
Yeah, him and Perry both came over from Anaheim. Saw them for a while. They were heart and soul pieces of that team.
And then obviously my biggest thing in net, you're looking at Khudobin with
Jake Ottinger out of BU behind him. Obviously, you're probably not going to see him play. Young guy, 98 birth year, just out of college. Khudobin, a veteran backup who's gotten some starting opportunities and I wouldn't say squandered them, but was mediocre, I would say. And he's proven that he could fill in for one of the better goalies in the league, Ben Bishop. And he's really showing you he's out goaltending Colorado. I mean, there's a lot of goals being scored, but at the end of the day, he's finishing the job, and you're not getting it in Colorado right now.
Bishop, like 6'8", 6'9" on skates.
Khudobin's 5'11".
Yeah, like literally the size of the net, and a smaller goalie starting in his place. So take that into consideration, fans, when you're thinking of what the team's doing, why they're doing it. And again, Ben Bishop dominated the league for a lot of years, floated around, but he was a big tendy, and honestly,
a great fit in Dallas too. It's a shame he's apparently unfit to play right now, and he's been a great fit. But Khudobin is really filling in at an incredible pace. I mean, he stepped in,
and that's why we're seeing that kind of committee thing kind of take over in the NHL, just in case one goalie can't get it done, a second one needs to fill in almost stud fashion. So. Wild series. I mean, honestly, it's kind of hard to predict. I mean, Genta, Colorado in 7, Dola, Colorado in 6. I'm out. Honestly, hope Colorado still pulls it out just so I can still feel
I want to see
them
play Vegas. I want to see the heavyweights go at it. I think Vegas they play the same style as Dallas, and I don't think that's going to pan out well for Dallas. So on that note, you were about to end this series. I know that already. So let's push it into the Vegas Golden Knights and Vancouver series, and we could get a little bit into Vegas potentially playing Dallas because, I mean, like I said, for me, they play a very similar game, and I think Vegas plays it that much better. I don't think it's going to pan out well for Dallas. So I'm kind of hoping Colorado makes it because they're a little bit more speedy and East-West, a little more skilled. So I think it'll be a little bit more of I think that Vancouver wants to be the Colorado Avalanche, and they're heading for that route. And I think that Colorado can play with Vegas the way that they play, and Vancouver's just not good enough to win playing the Colorado style right now. And Colorado is good enough. So I think, I'm really hoping they pull it out also. I mean, I agree with you. I want to see them play Vegas big time. I wouldn't mind seeing Vancouver make this thing go 7, though. Another hell of a series. I mean, Vancouver could have got a couple of bounces. This could be a 2-2 series. I mean, Vancouver doesn't go away. They're very annoying. JT Miller has been an absolute stud pickup. I was talking a ton of shit about the first round pick going the other way. I heard a lot of other people doing it too when it happened. But JT Miller was a first round pick himself, and he's showing he was worth every bit of the first round pick. I mean, he's got plenty of points in the playoffs. He's banging them. He's throwing the body. He's an absolute leader. He's a veteran. He's been there with the Rangers, been to the mountain, didn't get over the top, but made it damn close. And, he's kind of bringing that element of veteran leadership to young guys while still being pretty young. So it's not, an old, stale, boring voice in the room. It's a guy who's kind of part of that generation still and understands what these guys are going through and the stuff that they like. And, he kind of fits in the room. So I think that's going a long way for them in Vancouver.
I couldn't agree more, man. And also we couldn't want more for JT Miller. I mean, being Rangers fans, all we want is the best for all these guys, and really just watching him not even come into his own, but just have just more success in his career is just spectacular. This Vancouver Canucks team just has so much going for it, but I really don't think it is, it's that we brought it up a lot, that David versus Goliath kind of aspect, and I just really think that the Canucks are good right now, but Vegas.
It's like a very good team versus a great hockey team.
A great hockey team.
You know what I mean? It's a very good team on the brink of being great with another piece or two. I mean, if they get another D-man and another top 6 forward, that team is right there with the Vegas Golden Knights. You know what I mean? If they re-sign Markstrom, I think he's been great for them. They're showing you they're a very good hockey club, and they're not going to go away.
They're a piece or 2 away.
Yeah, they're like 1 to 3 pieces, depending on what they get away. And the Rangers have showed you it's not hard to make a turnaround really quick. And the Canucks have kind of done the same coming out of the Sedin era.
It's
They
been pretty
were
impressive.
hurting for a while. They were really hurting for a while, and they've made a massive turnaround. The organization has done incredible, kind of bringing in this nice.
It was a while, but I mean, if you think about it, from the Sedin era to now, it wasn't a long while. It was almost maybe a year longer than what the Rangers have been going through. You know what I mean? So it's like, to me, they made a pretty quick turnaround, and they've done a great job bringing in these random pieces like a Michael Furlan from Calgary, 20-goal guy, sandpaper. Obviously had to leave the bubble. He had an injury, so he's not playing. But, I mean, if they had that piece right now, I wouldn't say they'd win the series, but that's a piece that they miss in a series like this, because he'll go with anybody. He would have went with Reeves. He'll go with the heavyweights. And, again, a 20-goal, 40, 45-point guy on a nice deal. They snagged him out of Carolina. And, Vancouver, again, a very good team on the brink of being great. They show you with Pettersson and Quinn Hughes and now Markstrom having a breakout year that they are only a couple of pieces away from being maybe better than, people thought Edmonton were going to go far. I think if Vancouver goes into the offseason and grabs something, I think that they're a better team as far as the West goes than Edmonton. They obviously don't have a Connor McDavid, but Elias Pettersson is a damn good player, and he ain't far off from that level of talent. So, I mean,
I don't know. I think Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon are just like two.
Well, they are. They're a echelon above everyone else. I agree with
everybody
that.
else.
And then you have your Austin Matthews echelon, which is like one below, which honestly, Austin Matthews is on his way into that echelon. He shows you every year. So
I would say he's in that echelon of, the Connor McDavid, the Austin Matthews, and the Nathan McKinnon. I think he can make it in that echelon. And then there is that echelon below where it's just kind of everybody else, right? In terms of, what Sidney Crosby and Ovechkin used to be. I mean, they still are, but it's kind of just a slight decrease because, those guys are just every year now.
Yeah, I agree with you. But again, I mean, I just think Vegas is just that much. I mean, now you're getting secondary scoring from Pacioretty, who hasn't been doing a ton of scoring in the playoffs, but had 2 goals the other night. You're getting scoring from everywhere. I mean, you have Marchessault and I mean, I can't even. Yeah, you got Statsny. You got Cody Glass is very good. Yep, unbelievable amount of good players.
Theodore popping a few. I mean, you have goals coming from everywhere. It's pretty incredible. The entire team is just Studley. They're showing you day in, day out they're a powerhouse, and they're a powerhouse.
I mean, and then again, you got the defense. I mean, you got Ryan Reeves has been playing like a man on fire. I mean, he is if I'm the New York Rangers, Jeff Gordon, you heard it here first, go out and do what you got to do to put some real deal sandpaper on the New York Rangers. Go give the guy a couple dollars and let's get him over here. Trade for him. Do what you got to do. I mean, he is what the Rangers miss. I mean, imagine him and Brandon Lemieux with Brett Howden in between on your fourth line. 2 guys that can score, that can play, that can move up and down the ice, but will absolutely terrorize. I mean, if he had a guy like Reeves to protect him from the real deal guys like Wilson, who Lemieux showed you this year, he'll get right in there and toss toe-to-toe with a guy like Wilson. He don't give a shit. But if you have that intimidation factor on the other side of your wing, I mean, think about the grit and the sandpaper the New York Rangers bring with Anthony Cirelli, Ryan Reeves, and Brendan Lemieux. I mean, now you have that competitive edge and that sandpaper that you've been missing the last couple of years. So a lot of potential for the New York Rangers. And, I mean, I know we went a little off topic, but for me, Vegas, from 1 through 4 lines, from 1 through 6D, and from 1 through 2 goaltenders, you're just bigger, stronger, heavier, and more skilled than Vancouver. And I just don't see a way for Vancouver to dig out here. I think Vegas finishes it tomorrow night.
And the prediction comes true for JG at Vegas in 5. I do think that Vancouver might be a little bit more of a pest. I think it might be just more of that hope that we get more hockey, right? I don't necessarily agree that it's going to happen, but at the same time, I just hope that we see some more hockey between the Canucks and the Knights, just because this is actually a really great matchup of the series. I think the Canucks have been
Oh,
putting
it's been
everything to
awesome.
the
I would
metal.
love to see more.
They've been pressuring. They've been putting up scoring chances, shots.
Yeah, they're
Everything
not
they
going
can.
away. I told you, I texted you after they tied it 1-1. This team doesn't go away, and they don't. Even the games they're losing, they're in them. I mean, they got shut out the other night. I thought they outplayed Vegas, to be honest.
Again, there's a lot of opportunity, but I do agree that the series is leaning towards the Knights, but I mean, that's not unexpected, right? We definitely thought that the Knights were going to win. We definitely thought that they were going to take the series, and a little bit sooner than I thought, but it's nothing of a knock to the Canucks. They definitely have a little bit more work to do, a few more pieces to fill in, but that's not to say that they don't have the fundamentals for everything of a
They
phenomenal
absolutely
hockey
do.
squad. So we're going to be looking at this team for a long time and for the next few years, but we'll see what happens over the next few games, and then maybe we see some action from them in this offseason. But I definitely think the Knights are going to take this. I'm still hoping for 6, but we'll definitely see.
Me too. I mean, that's the bottom line. Obviously, I picked the Knights in 5, but I'd like to see more hockey. But again, I mean, it really covers it. I just think the Knights are too big and strong, and I think they're going to move on fairly quickly here.
All right. Well, I mean, that's all we really have for you fans. Kind of talking about the round 2 playoffs and really going through every series right now in hockey. So we hope you enjoyed. And again, any last thoughts, JG?
It's really it, man. It's great to see you. Another episode in the books, and we'll be back to chat some more hockey a little bit later this week.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, once these series end, we're going to definitely get back on the horn. We're going to be lighting the lamp again, just talking about who actually out of the series came out on top, and really anything else we hear about. I mean, whether it's Rangers related or trade related, we definitely want to get engaged with you fans and make sure we're bringing you as much content as we can. So again, please like, share, comment, and do everything you can on the channel. Get more engaged. We'll love to get more engaged with you. And as the series go on, we'll just keep bringing you as much content as we can. So, GG, it's just
It's been a pleasure, pal. Enjoy your dinner with your wife, and have a great night, my buddy.
All right, guys. So, signing off. There's Lighting the Lamp, and you all take it easy.
Be good.
Peace.